And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Xanadu. I feel like perhaps I should be on roller skates for this one. This is a game, I believe this game is from Colombia, which is the first game that I've gotten from there. It's a game about building buildings using resources. But before you run away yelling, because there are quite a few games, this one has a mechanic that I'm not sure I've ever seen in a game before. A very interesting thing itself. Let's take a look. The whole goal of this game is to get money, and you will get that by building buildings and selling them. At the beginning of the game, each player is given a hand of cards, and they're going to place one brown building in front of them from that hand. And as the game progresses, you will build other buildings. There's green, yellow, and blue buildings, and the color of the building doesn't really matter other than to show you what type of building that is. See, brown buildings are useful because they provide you with a permanent resource. For example, this one here provides you with water. When you sell the building, and you can see the price of the building starts at 1 and goes up to 2, it doesn't get you very much. While on the other end of the scale, green buildings provide you with no resources, but they can be sold for 10, although the price can go down. What you do at the beginning of your turn, you can sell any buildings you have in front of you, and you might have to because you're only allowed a certain number of buildings. Like, for example, in a 4-player game, you can only have 4 buildings in front of you. And after that, you can then build new buildings. Now, the way to build new buildings is by using the resources you have. So, for example, I have 1 water here, but I'm probably going to need more resources than that to build something. For example, if I wanted to build this tea house here, I need water and I need wood to build that. So how do I get wood? Well, I'll take another card from my hand and place it on a wood resource. So you can see here that this building right here, the festival building, has a wood resource there. If I turn one of the cards over and place it like that, I've placed a worker on that building, and that's given me 1 wood. Combining that with the water resource that I always have, I then can play this card in front of me. Now, when I place this worker here, not only did I get that wood, but now the Emperor has given me a gift, and I always have porcelain as a permanent resource now. It's also changed the value of this building. So I can play workers even if I don't need the resources. I can play as many cards from my hands as I can just to change the value. But what makes the game very interesting is that you can play these workers on other people's buildings, not only to get the resources, but also to change the value. If they have built this, for example, the gardens, they're going to sell that on their next turn for 10. I know they are. There's no reason not to. So I might play some cards on my turn just to make the value go down. Not to mention, I might want those valuable resources. You can see here that there's jade and gold, and those are both valuable resources that I might need to build my own buildings. And so, essentially, that's the way the game works. If a building has enough workers put on it so that everything is covered up and only the price that's shown on the building itself is there, then that card is immediately sold. At the end of your turn, you will draw more cards based on what you did that turn. If all you did was build, you draw 1 card. If you sold something at the beginning of your turn, you draw 3 cards. So many times you will sell something just so that you can get more cards in your hand. And if you pass your whole turn and do nothing, you draw back up to 7 cards from the deck. This is the money, by the way, that is in the game. There's different denominations, and this is what you're trying to do. The game is going to progress until you've gone through the whole deck twice. So remember, on your turn, you can build a building, you can play as many workers as you want to get resources from your own and from other people's, or you can play workers on your own and other people's just to influence the prices. And you can sell 1 building, or actually you can sell as many buildings as you want at the beginning of your turn, but that's before you build them. So that's how the game works. This is actually a pretty neat little card game. I was really impressed by it. The idea of putting cards on buildings to use them, but in essence making that building worse or better as time goes by. As the green buildings, you put a few cards on them and they get worse, and the blue buildings would go up and then down. And I thought that was a neat idea, being able to use other people's buildings. Are you going to use my building? You want these resources that makes your building go up in value, or just hoping no one sabotages your building before it's your turn. Some really cool ideas. The thing is, this mechanic is so neat. I would love to see it utilized in a bigger game, a game that's someone has out there. So maybe this is the start of something. But I as itself, it was good. It felt a little quick, almost too quick, which is kind of odd. Usually, I'm pretty happy with how quick these games are. I suppose you can make it longer by playing through the deck more times, but I mean, just the ideas of building the buildings and trying to get those big buildings out there and kind of like twiddle your thumbs, hoping no one destroys it as time goes by. Deciding what buildings to build. The brown buildings give you resources, lots of resources to build the other buildings, and you can get a lot of points and people leave you alone. And then, or you want those fantastic green and yellow buildings, or maybe the blue building, which gives you some resources. It's not a super complex game, but I like even the draw idea is pretty inspired, because if you do stuff in your turn, you draw a card, and if you sell buildings, you get 3 cards. So that gives you an incentive to sell a building, even if you might have got a better price for it on another turn. So quality is okay. The cards could have been better quality, and I would have made the design choice, if I had been making it, to have all those coins with the middle being able to pop out. I know that would have been a pain, but it would have just added some flavor to the game, having coins with holes in the middles. As it is, though, it's a neat idea. I don't know the best way for you to get this game, but if you can find a copy of the Xanadu, it's certainly one of the more innovative little games I've played in a while.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find the latest board game news at Dicetowernews.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Fun Again Games, the world's best game source. Fun Again Games has over 5,000 games available. Check them out at funagain.com.
Shut the door!